Hello, Dr. Morris.
Hello.
Do you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Well, I am Barry Morris. I am a former founding administrator for Whitfield Academy, a former board member. I'm very fond of Whitfield Academy and particularly what it stands for and the wonderful people that have built it. I have a son that graduated from here, Tim Morris. And currently I'm a professor and a dean at a Chinese university, Beijing Jiao Tong University, where I serve as a vice dean for the Hanergy School of Renewable Energy. I also serve as a consultant to the Chinese government and to Chinese universities. And I am a former dean for American University and a professor and a former international banker.
So, Dr. Morris, you've had an incredible career, but come from humble beginnings. Can you share a little bit about your background?
Well, you're certainly right. I came from humble beginnings. I'm from a little town in southwest Louisiana called Lake Charles. I was raised by a single parent. I had 4 kids in the family, a brother, an older brother, 2 younger sisters, on a dead-end street with a graveyard in the backyard that we've all played in. And times were hard back then, but we came out of it.
So over the years, you have seen the issues of racism. Have you seen the issues of racism change?
Yeah, I have. There's no black person my age that hadn't seen a whole lot of racism. And I've seen it change, but unfortunately, white racism is still prevalent in our society, and it still has a very large impact upon black folk. And you might notice I didn't accept your racism, because our problem from the very beginnings of our country was not just this general notion, abstract notion of racism. Our problem was that the original sin of America was including slavery in its constitution and all of that legacy. And as from the perspective of all of America, and particularly from black Americans, the problem was not some general notion of racism, but racist white people who were imposing a terror, particularly in the early parts of America, and incredible injustice upon black Americans. But of course, this was also true for Native Americans as well. And this, fortunately, because of the genius of the founding fathers of including in our founding documents incredibly powerful principles, particularly the principles of liberty and freedom. Racism we were able to grow and become better and become more perfect as a union, because those truer principles of liberty and freedom and justice actually won over. And so this cognitive dissonance of saying one thing and believing one thing and doing another, we were able to reduce over time. And we're still reducing that as a nation over time. And so that's been that's been an improvement because of those fundamental founding ideas, strong founding ideas. But you asked me about racism in my own life. As a high school student, I'll never forget, I was 16, and a couple of my buddies and I were walking back from a fair in town. And all of a sudden we were coming back through a ball field and a park, and some folks were driving by and they cut off their lights, young white guys, and began shouting racial epithets at us. And then pulled out their rifles, got up on the top of the car and started shooting at us. And so we had to hide, take cover, try to figure out how we were going to get out of that situation. This was not unusual for someone in my childhood. When I was a sophomore in college, I traveled to what was then the Soviet Union, dominated by Russia. And I'll never forget, the Russians never believed that I was an American, and in fact I had to show them my passport to make them believe it. And the reason why is because the propaganda in the Soviet Union in the mid-70s was so strong that America was so racist that no black person could ever get the permission or the freedom to leave. And so I learned a lot from getting out of the country and being able to speak the language because I could see America in a different light. And particularly, it was enlightening to see my colleagues describe, my white colleagues from America who were students, describe America to the Russians because they would inevitably defend America. Oh, it's not racist. And the America that they described, I didn't know, particularly in terms of racism. And so we when I would describe what my experience in America and the terrorism that black folk experienced there, it was as if that I was saying something that can't be true. There was a lot of denial there, bordering on delusion from my perspective. When I left New York as a banker, I was given the choice to go anywhere in the world because I was one of the top performers. When I got to Texas, one of the top clients that was for the bank was given to me. Before they met me, they said, "Well, we don't want him on our account if he's black." Those are examples, and we could go on and on and on with these examples. But the point is that as a black man then and now, you're always going to, or unfortunately, receive a lot of unfair treatment. But the key is to balance fighting that as an individual without going crazy, and without embodying that and making you become a worse person or a sicker person, even though you're in a sick environment. And as I said, it was helpful for me to get out of America to see that. And the number of real racist Americans has been going down over the years. And what I'm encouraged about is that people of like in your generation and my children have less and less of this sickness in them.
What role has your faith played in becoming the man you are today?
Oh, that's a great question. The principle of love that is fundamentally Christian, which is the pillar of Christianity, is the only thing and the best thing that helps us live to be our best selves. And we don't grow as individuals and as groups and as a nation and as a world when we forget about this Christian principle that cuts across all of these divisions. And so that worldview, that Christian worldview founded in love, is, in my view, is critical just to be sane in the world. Otherwise, it's easy and you're more likely to get into negative behavior, and to decline and regress as an individual and as a society.
What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you were my age?
The first is what I would call the honeysuckle principle. Do you know what a honeysuckle is?
No, sir.
You know what a honeysuckle vine is? Okay. So a honeysuckle vine has these little flowers on it, right? And I don't know if you've ever been, I used to go to the country where my grandparents were. You pick off these little flowers and you peel it, and you get a little drop of sweet honey juice, right?
Yes, sir.
It's so small, but it's so sweet. But it takes so much effort just to get a little bit of honey. Life is like that. Everything that's worthwhile and really good in life takes a whole lot of effort just to get a little bit of goodness. And I learned that over time, but I wish I would have understood that principle even better when I was your age. That it takes, in every aspect of life, it takes a whole lot of effort to get one good, sweet drop of something, no matter what area of life it is. You have to put a lot of effort into. A related principle that I wish I'd have known then that I know now is something that I would call the full cost principle. Every good thing in life you can have if you're willing to pay the full cost and not the discounted cost. Most of us try to slip and slide and do less than what's required of something to get something that's good. We don't want to pay the full cost. But invariably, life requires that you pay the full cost for anything that's really good. And there's no getting around it. And once you accept and decide to pay the full cost, then you can have good things. but it's pricey. It's expensive, and there's no getting around the full cost. There's no having the good things in life at a discount. I would say that one of the big lessons in life for me has been the power of people who do have love in their heart, who to speak and to do, and to counter hate. In America, we've had more problems than we might have had if good people were would have been more courageous throughout our history. There's so many instances in our country where we went down a bad road and have experienced the worst of racism in America because people who weren't racist were willing to let it go and be quiet.